Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Have the Race Gone for the opening round of the 5th season of Nukeshot Endurance Series action here from GT Sport. We're live from Lago, Maggiore. Slowest guy, the Volex driver in the Tomahawk, goes around the infamous spaghetti ball. It is a pleasure being back for the series that started it all, at least for this channel. At least for this channel, as far as us concerned. A very warm welcome and a very good evening to you all. It is indeed a pleasure to have you all along. And let's see how they do. The Mad Greek in the 25 machine. Well, of course he's here. But there's no more Waspery now that he is indeed a Volex esports driver. It's a Volex liveried Tomahawk. They'll be running, and they're up against it in the form of CSR Simracing with the Dazzle camo. Also on the 19 of Wake. See you. Evening to even to the Lord. And to Martin as well. We got Swablu here in the Calsonic GTR, iconic livery for this machine, no doubt about it. For VRC Motorsport, we got Skyjacker in the, I was about to say the FT1, it isn't, it's the Supra Gazoo racing car. And then, as mentioned before, Gentleman Racing in the 911 here. We've got Canoni Brothers in the Fanta Audi R8. We have defending champion Joe of the Fire in one of two Nukeshot Toyota FT1s. The other one driven by Y-Bear, also in the pits. We've got the safety car driven by Dredgen Erebus. We've got Fred Dude today in for Starscream Enterprises in the BMW M6. And as mentioned before, Wake, Swablu, well, we've covered them already. Martin, that's a good question. Qualifying starts, well, it's supposed to start in 4 minutes, so we've got a number of drivers in a relative hurry here, I'd say. Just 4 minutes until qualifying session. We should be getting the racing underway around 10 minutes past 9 Central European time, of course, 10 minutes past 8 British summertime. And so far, there's no stopping the Mad Greek, the reigning GT3 champ, that is. And mind you that for the returning viewers of old, so to say, the returning viewers from the 4th season of the NES, and that's about 6 months ago, a whole lot of time has passed, a lot of water has run underneath the bridge since then. Of course, Lordy Lord, best of luck in the aim split. Anyway, good evening, Swablu. Nice to have you along. CJ, who was disqualified and lost the LMP championship, he was disqualified from the last round alongside Armored Core for track limit infringements. He's back now representing Volex Esports and with a very hypercar-ish looking Tomahawk Group 1 machine. I have to say, ever since the revealing of the new WEC hypercar rule set, some of these Vision GT cars has grown on me a little bit. They're actually going to be more or less be looking like the LMPs to come. So as mentioned, still just a couple of minutes, or a single minute actually, to go, and I think we might see a little bit of an extended time period. We do have Canoni ready to join, but we would still need more drivers. I think there should be more coming, but anyways, even without it, we're in for a tough fight. I expect Joe of the Fire, Fred Dude, to be up there in the GTs. Y-Bear shown that he can handle himself as well before, and I'll be interested to see how Swablu goes as well. And then the unknown factors, for me at least, whom I haven't really seen race before, well, that's Canoni and Skyjacker as well, who I haven't seen on track for real, so I don't really know where they are pace-wise. Ryan is indeed absent. I have read so. Shame to see. I wanted to see Ryan in bringing it to the Volex drivers, but it is going to be a good fight, it seems, over this season. TSR versus Volex Esports in the LMP Pro class. And mind you, let me just take you through the series format of the Nukeshot Endurance series. We are running two classes, as you might have noticed by now, and the splits have been changed, so to say, now, and actually the sign-up system has been changed as well. The drivers can now only sign up in a single class and there is only a single race for each round. There isn't two. That's nice for us as well. And the AM split is now LMP AM alongside GT3 AM. They're having their own lobby. This is the Pro split. So LMP Pro alongside GT3 Pro. Still CJ 1:37.5. That's a fast time indeed here. Wake getting loose on the exit of the spaghetti ball. Slowest guy, half a tenth of Wake's time. Let's see how the Tomahawk actually sounds. Well, it actually sounds pretty good. So here it comes, and here we go. Qualifying about to get underway for the GT3s. We're first to get running. And here it is. Joe of the Fire resetting the lobby. Green for GT quali, that means 10 minutes of qualifying live for the GT cars. Skyjacker, Y-Bear, Joe of the Fire. Oh, is that almost going off there? And then almost making contact with one another. Someone's having some kind of connection issue, it seems here. Canoni and Fred Dude. And here's Swablu joining track as well. Oh, Martin, that would be lovely. I'll inform the race direction immediately. In tame. Yeah, I know, man. So outlaps are underway. Skyjacker first out of the boxes. Joe of the Win. Evening Houdini. Nice to have you along. Houdini tipping for Joe of the Fire to take the win. I might tend to agree with his call on that one. I think Joe of the Fire should be strong favorite for this one. But alongside Fred Dude, Swablu also want to watch. Y-Bear as well. And then those couple of unknowns, we don't know how we'll do yet. Here's Skyjacker. It's about to start the first lap, and that is absolutely not the way to do it. Just about keeps the car under control, but goes way wide, and it's gonna give a poor launch across. Also misses the apex here on turn 1. Hey Wake, you've got a question? Well, feel free to ask, and hello to yourself as well. Here's Joe of the Fire. Interesting that we will see two different types of Toyota. The Toyotas were quick to be picked in the car selection process, and I would imagine it to be there's rumors of Toyota bias in GT Sport. So Skyjacker on his first flying lap, Joe of the Fire doing the same. It'll be interesting to see how they compare as they come around. Good evening to everyone who's joining right about now. We've just gotten the GT3 Pro qualification underway. We've got 10 minutes of running, which means we have not that long left. It's a compact little session here. Be over before we realize it really. Having a look here on board now with Skyjacker through the S's. up towards the double right-hander. A little bit of misty conditions here. Surely isn't going to aid grip for the drivers. He's picked the right line there. Let's see if he goes too quickly through here. Oh, just manages to keep it in, I think. Skyjacker's car looks very stable over the curbs, indeed. Now the final corner. Needs to keep it tidy here. Does indeed. Joe of the Fire has flown through this lap. Look at this. Joe of the Fire, what is he looking to go into the 53s? A 53.5 for Joe of the Fire. 2.5 seconds up on Canoni. 3.7 seconds up on Skyjacker. Wybear even further behind on his first lap. Let's see. Fred Dude in the BMW M6 might be up there as well. Goes on provisional pole. So certainly not bad from the Belgian Fred Dude in the Starscream Enterprises BMW M6, the more than pink car. Very, very strong display. Canoni. Not the perfect lap for him, the first one indeed. Gentleman Racing. He's just to complete his first one. The American, who for the most part we connected with through the monthly Saturday night 1.5 hour endurance races. Something that I've completely slipped out of that community actually when I think about it. Feel a little sorry for not at least saying something about it, but I've just been a little more busy than things like this just tend to happen. But a very nice racing community if someone's up for, what can I say, some chill yet engaged once a month endurance racing. I can certainly recommend it on GT Planet. And here, Gentleman Racing with room for improvement on his first lap, indeed. Good evening, Ryan. Very nice to have you along, but shame that you can't race. Good job in keeping it alive. Earlier, I heard about your suffering thumb as well. Qualifying, 4.5 minutes left. I think it's 10 minutes at least. Should be. Good thing I have my handbook. Indeed, 10 minutes. And I have my little rule book here on my tablet on my side to make sure that I don't make a complete fool out of myself. Joe of the Fire, less than a 10th behind himself and Fred Dude. That's a close one. Swablu rejoins the track. For the final attempt, for the final run indeed. And how is that gonna work? For the GTR, the Calsonic machine. 65%. Oh, that's the copying. I have no idea. It's a slur. Slow. It is indeed a very slow process. Much slower, and it always feels a lot slower, especially when you need it. Fred Dude on an outlap as well. Same goes for Joe of the Fire. At the moment, they've timed it pretty similarly. Joe of the Fire a little in front. Swablu, third fastest on the grid at the moment, but he's at 2.5 of the two front runners. Then it's quite close between Swablu, Gentleman Racing, and Skyjacker. Although it's certainly not close between Swablu and Gentleman Racing, actually. That's 1.7 seconds in between those two. Quite of a split, actually, in qualifying so far. We might still see some better laps being put in. Fred Dude across the line, and here Joe of the Fire on his, it's gonna be his final qualifying lap, I think. I don't think he's going to be able to make it across the line before the timer runs out. Of course, I could be wrong. Good evening to Rabbit Gator as well. Nice to have you along. And to everyone that's tuning in right about now, you've made it for the final minute of the GT3 Pro qualifying session, and then we'll get 10 minutes of LMP Pro qualifying underway, followed by a short break, and then the race. 60 minutes of action here from Lago Maggiore. The first S's, the flat out S's, basically just a kink left, kink right, down towards the spaghetti bowl. Joe of the Fire throws it in up towards the uphill S's, cresting down towards the double right-hander. Flat out as well, by the way. Joe of the Fire is purple through here by 1.5 tenths. And does Fred Dude have an answer to that this time around? Oh, he's close to his own personal best. And with that is qualifying over, so this is the final lap. Indeed, Joe of the Fire spinned it! Joe of the Fire spinned it in the final corner! And that for sure is gonna give pole position to the Belgian Fred Dude. Swablu on a personal best. We're gonna see how it goes for the rest of the field here. Wybear with a considerable improvement. He has put himself into 4th position on the grid at the moment. Joe of the Fire was looking like he was gonna set that pro time here. Wybear has actually improved, and he's now up into 3rd position. And that's unless Swablu can improve enough. He cannot, and goes 4th fastest in the end. Canoni has a lap to go. Gentleman Racing is done. He'll be 6th on the grid. Skyjacker is having a run as well. I think Skyjacker, they got onto the lap as well as Canoni. Indeed, CJing it on the exit or on the entrance to that final corner. But you need every single inch of tarmac available to you. And Joe of the Fire tried to go for a little more than there was. He paid the consequence in full. Of course, with a good banker lap, still able to go for that 2nd place here. Canoni abandons his lap. Wybear, I think, is done. And if I'm not completely mistaken, is it still Wybear running? I think should be over, should be done and dealt with. I think the session has ended. I think every car has crossed the line. So let's have a look at the results. Indeed, Fred Dude on pole position in the GT3s in front of Joe the Fire, Wybear, Swablu, Gentleman Racing, Skyjacker, and Canoni Brothers. And that's not entirely true, actually. Canoni going 5th fastest, and that sends Gentleman Racing into 6th. That sends Skyjacker into 7th position on the grid. So Fred Dude on GT3 pole. Maybe a little bit of a surprise to those who were expecting Joe of the Fire to ace the qualifying session. And, well, Fred Dude certainly is no fluke. We've seen him in plenty of series before. We've seen be competitive in plenty of series before. So, doesn't only know how to qualify, certainly knows how to race as well. And they'll have a race on their hands for this one. No, this isn't Joe, Martin. Joe's here. Wybear, 3rd in the 2nd. Number 99, Nukeshot FT1. Swablu there in the Calsonic GTR, 4th on the grid with Canoni 5th. Gentleman Racing in 6th, and Skyjacker in 7th. Indeed, So just a moment, I think, and we shall have the LMP qualifying session underway. We're just waiting for our lobby host. Oh, the carnage has begun here as Swablu gives a tap. And indeed, Rabbit Gator, Canoni Brothers calling his mechanical damage. Anyway, track choice, Maggiore. Well, Maggiore is, I think, is a very nice track, and it really lends itself to great racing. Plenty of overtaking opportunities. Plenty of opportunities to defend as well. The inside line isn't just always the fastest line through an entire complex of corners. Turns 1 and 2, well, and 3 and 4 being a very, very good example of just that. And it does, as I mentioned before, it does, I think, lend itself to some really good racing. And here we have it, the green is on for LMP qualifying. And the LMP is now 10 minutes. And that'll give us until 25 minutes in the session. Wake and slowest guy in the Volex, one of 2 Volex cars, and the number 5 machine, the Portuguese, who was incredibly strong in the IGTL Pro event from Interlagos. And then there is, of course, CJ, who, well, there's a lot of weight on his shoulders. Indeed. Question, is there only 3 LMPs? There is only 3 LMPs, I think. And then it depends then if Martin makes it to become the 4th. How's the process, Martin? Oh, you won't make it, I just saw it. Okay. That's very self-explanatory. So it'll be Wake in a Southern European Volex sandwich of the 2 Tomahawks against the Soul Porsche 919. That's gonna be real LMP-like stuff then. Not too many cars competing here. Allows for 6 in class, so a little bit of shame that we don't have more reserves. We need more LMP Pro reserves. And here it is, the first flying laps getting underway. CJ still a bit of way back. We're gonna go on board with Wake CU, the Belgian, the king of sugar. On his way down towards turn 5, one of the critical corners with the bendy braking zone makes it so difficult to keep the car composed. And then the long opening exit, looking for the curb there on the right hand side. Absolutely throwing it through here. The Porsche 919 being taken to its absolute limits by Wake CU. TSR Wake, as he's known now. Of course, the purple time is relative to the GT3s. Takes a lot of curb there as well. Up through the S's. And now up to the double right-hander. Big speed there. Perfectly matches it through the first part. Brilliant line through the second one. This looks like a good lap for TSR Wake. And the Porsche boys, let us see. What's it gonna be across the line for him? A 38.5. And then 37.9 for slowest guy, who in turn isn't the slowest guy here. CJ, the Mad Greek, in the Tomahawk. looking to go even faster. He's half a second up, almost 4/10 up on slowest guy through the second sector. And the Tomahawk across the line. CJ here, 1:36.9, a second ahead of slowest guy. So Wake seemingly with a lot of work to do. This work cut out for him. The Porsche 919 made to look like a dinosaur by the cutting edge power of the SRT Tomahawk. Slowest guy has also put in a very fast lap, but that second down on CJ, impressive indeed. Wake's gonna cross the line and improve, but not by enough. Still 4/10 down on slowest guy. Hey Felix. Yes, I should very much be able to see all the cars this time. What's up, Pinkery? Welcome to both of you. Felix the Ghost. Such a shame that we couldn't see Felix, who put in a brilliant run to finish third at the very recent, earlier today held IGTL Summer Championship Series Round 1. Holding off brilliantly to finish a one-stop strategy on the podium. 3.5 minutes, a little more than that, remaining. So in turn they should be able to make 2 more laps. The 3 LMP, somewhat of a decimated field, and indeed we most certainly need more reserves. So should you be sitting out there with a lot of pace in your hands, minds, legs, whatever, and be thinking, multi-class racing, that's something for me, well, hit us up on GT Planet. Indeed, Rabbit Gator, worth noticing that Joe is indeed now in the Nukeshot car. He's been signed here, slowest guy exiting the pits. Or was that CJ? That was indeed slowest guy. Wake comes out here. Spent a little more time on it. CJ looking to improve as he's in the final sector now. But he has to pit in as well. We wouldn't want you to call upon more bad luck upon yourself, Felix, that's for sure. Good stuff for CJ as he exits as well. It's going to be an outlap, and he can. Well, he will make it. He will indeed make it. 1 more lap for CJ. A last shot, indeed. Looks very, very composed as well. The Tomahawk. It's quite of a catch on the slide there from slowest guy. Throws it into turn 1 and loses it as well and goes into the wall, and this is going to be the end of the qualifying session for slowest guy. And Wake, well, he's collected some damage as well, so it's not going to be for Wake as well. None of them are going to make another lap. And that basically means that CJ can lift off and cruise home to a pole position in the LMP Pro class. Mind you, he does have a shot at one final lap here with 45 seconds remaining. Slowest guy, could he possibly make it around? I don't think so. He's got half a minute from here, he's not gonna make it. Surely not gonna make it. He is, though, on a counting lap here. Doesn't put it in as an out lap for me, so he's gonna he's gonna be able to finalize this lap. Doesn't really make sense up in my mind at all. He's 6 seconds down on this lap as well, so it isn't gonna work for him whatsoever. And here is the flag. So neither Wake or slowest guy are gonna have the chance to improve. CJ, however, is. And that's only giving him the chance to clear the opposition here by an entire full second. Seeming a little laggy for me at the moment. Better with the two others. Being out here, CJ comes to cross the line for a 36. Oh, that's very close to even improving. He's 100th of a second off his best time, but a lot of lag at the moment. Certainly hoping for that to improve. Volex certainly not lucky today, that's for sure. So anyway, we're gonna have a short pre-race break. The track is gonna be open for a warm-up for those drivers who feel like they need it. And is CJ still lagging? Who was Skyjacker loses his tail on turn 2 exit. Let's see if CJ is still lagging. Looks better this time. Well, that didn't really give us the chance to check it out, did it? No, there's not only 2 LMPs now, Martin. Don't worry. I think we're still with 3 LMPs, although it is, as I said before, a decimated field, to say the least. We are actively looking... Actively, that's maybe a bit much to say. We are looking for reserves in the LMP Pro field. I'm expecting CJ to be starting this race and to be running this race. He's getting back on track now, I think. On that let's see how it is lag-wise this time around. That's the world of man flu, Martin. I know. It's a dreadful place to be in. CJ seems better now for me. I think we have 4 minutes to the race start, if I'm not completely mistaken. So we're getting close to it. Anyways, it's gonna be 1 hour of racing once we get it underway. And Maggiore, well, it's worth taking a little talk about the track. Of course, it is a custom PD creation, so it's not something that exists in real life. Although sometimes it makes you wish that it was, because it's really great track, I think. And for this multi-class racing, not the hardest. I'd say it's a wide track. It has plenty of turns where the higher downforce LMPs can overtake safely on the outside as well, while the GTs keep their line. Long straights, plenty of overtaking opportunities in general. And a well-balanced track also. You need a well-balanced car to get fast here. Yeah, Wake, that's the result. To get proud of. Radar's on. Oh yeah, Rapid Gator. Yeah, Weber's leading. That's the safety car. Why is he leading now? And everybody's getting on track for that warm-up time now. But it's also a good time to get the feel of traffic. We're not going to be seeing a crazily crowded track today. It could be a lot worse, that is for sure. And that's going to be somewhat lenient on the drivers in the end. Ooh, Gentleman Racing just about manages to keep a hold of the rear end of his 911 RSR. Or did he actually tap the wall there? No, he didn't. He did keep it, but he parked it as well. On board here with Skyjacker. And also a cool new feature is this true onboard cam. The thing I really like is that I can actually look around inside of the cars like this. Use the mirrors to check back and forth. It needs a little more working on concerning the keyboard layout, but it's a brilliant, and it's brilliant, that may be a little bit easy use of the word brilliant there. It's a nice addition, thanks PD, but fix the issues, please. Swablu in the Calsonic GTR, exiting turn 4 there. Turns 1 to 4, the slowest section of the track, the most technical one, and also perhaps the section where we see the most incidents, usually at least. And a good evening and a warm welcome to anyone tuning in right about now, as we're getting ready to get the racing underway. It should be any time by now. And yes, Pinkery, you actually can. But the problem is that my keyboard controls allow me to do the alternate cam, the standard cam, bumper, bonnet, and Super GT. And there is no more than that. I found some bug the other day that allowed me to use the onboard view instead of the hood cam, but can't seem to get that to work today. So and with that said, we're having the all ready checks from everyone now, and that means we will be getting the racing underway. Of course, we'll be starting behind the safety car for the first lap. And indeed, Felix, the GLHF call to everyone, and take care in turn 1, please, guys. I don't want to have to call out the safety car on the first lap, because everybody gets to overtaking me into turn 1. It is definitely a place where you have to be careful. A little bit more than 90-degree bend. Of course, it's Erebus in the safety car. It's going to be leading around for the warm-up lap, the formation lap, and then of course there's 3 LMPs with the CJ slowest guy, the 2 Volex drivers on the front row, TSR in behind, challenging them. Seems a little out of sync. And then of course the GTs, who we saw qualifying before the LMPs. It is Fred Dude, the Belgian, on pole position in front of Joe of the Fire and Y-Bear, the 2 Nukeshot Toyota FT1s. It's the Calsonic Skyline of Shiny Swablu. And then it is Canoni Brothers in the Fanta R8. It is Gentleman Racing in the 911 RSR. And then at the bottom of affairs in the GTs, it is Skyjacker, the VRC drivers. And it was a good call, Felix. There was quite a number of safety cars at Saint Croix. It was, I think it's actually the aim split that we had highlights from, but nevertheless, indeed, a massive amount of safety car incidents and procedures following very close to one another. Also, hopefully we'll get the drivers a little cleaner around this one. Certainly don't want to see too much. I mean, on one side, the safety car periods can really gather the race up together again, and then it can also really just cause a whole lot of ruckus in that sense. So for some might call it destructive, some might call it opening for the racing. Here's the GT field. Fred Dude, P4 overall, that's pretty high for a GT, even at these kind of NES standards. It's going to be interesting to see if he can hold off the 2 FT1s, the Toyota FT1s, who are known to be fast. And on a track like this, favors top speed. It's going to be an interesting one. The LMPs now making their way up towards the final sector. Mind you also that the LMPs are allowed to travel a little bit faster. They're going around at 100 kilometers an hour, while the GTs are limited to 80 kilometers an hour here. That's just to create that little bit of important split between the 2 classes here for the start of the race. And talking about start of the race, well, if anyone's joining in right about now, you couldn't have timed it any better. The action is just about to get underway. So they come down towards the final corner. Erebus is about to break off in the safety car, and then he's going to leave it to CJ. He's got his teammate in behind him, and then Wake, CU, TSR Wake in the TSR 919, and here they are. Here they go, they off. Green, green, green for the 3 LMPs. And it's Wake actually making up a position on slowest guy, and CJ going massively wide into turn 1, and all of a sudden, side by side with Wake, got the hybrid power here, and TSR is into the lead. What a start from Wake, who's now got a whole lot of defending to do. And with that, we're gonna check out the start of the GT3s as they come down towards turn 1. Joe of the Fire seems to massively overshoot it and swap loose up a position. Wybear is off in the background, and that is suboptimal to say the least. Joe of the Fire falling down a lot of places here. As we're on board with the Wang cam from the Witty Professor. Is there any kind of contact, or does he just go off wide there? He certainly does. Poor luck for Joe of the Fire. Finds himself a long way down here as CJ is now making the move. And they... Oh, there's a little bit of contact. And they go much, much wide. And that was a lag spike that ended up taking out. And there is certainly a big amount of lag. And that's CJ crashed out. CJ crashed out. CJ's out of the race. And that is going to be calling out. Oh, that's the question. Safety car. CJ disconnected. And slowest guy here is certainly going to be expecting the safety car to come out. And we are going to see the safety car coming out on track. And that of course means that slowest guy is now clear to go and catch up with the safety car. Wake should be clear to pit in to fix his damage once they've caught up behind. And I have a question. CJ, did he lose connection to the entire field, or what? That's the question in the end. They'll be allowed to go around at 160 kilometers an hour here, the drivers. And we're gonna see just where on track the safety car is. Of course, he'll be there about. He's caught out, he's picked up the 2 LMPs. Skyjacker is in for a pit stop, taking advantage of the safety car here. A big F for CJ indeed. And it's now going to be a 2-car scrap as we wait for... Yeah, anyways, with one car crashing out with lag and another car with damage like that, I'd say it's a perfect situation. They should indeed be catching the safety car, but they've been instructed not to do so too quickly. Good thing is that we have the... We can tell him... Just to speeden up the process a little bit, the pit is indeed open. Wake, of course, pit is always open here. The safety car is not going to be pitting in this lap. Perhaps it's going to be the following lap if everything works out accordingly. What poor luck. CJ the Mad Greek, he's gonna be very, very, very mad indeed. as he absolutely... There's Erebus, the safety car driver, getting a little bit of airtime here. He hammers around that M4 in first gear. Wake. And now they're catching up. Wake pitting in here. Wake pitting in here to get the damage fixed. And that is gonna save his behind. Very much so. He's not gonna lose much time on it. So there it is, me doing my job as race director as well, as we have the field bunched up behind the safety car, and it'll come in this lap. And Bambi, I allowed Wake to just pass his way through, so we don't have any kind of chaotic situations when we restart the race. That would be asking for more trouble, in my opinion, as a race director. Welcome to you all, as we're on lap 4 of 37 here from what was supposed to be about an hour of Lago Maggiore. This is gonna make it a little bit more by now already. The GT3s are at the closest they've been at any point, and at the closest that they will ever be. They're on the same lap as the LMPs at the moment. So that's, of course, didn't really think about the fact that they were actually on battling for track position. We maybe shouldn't have let Wake go through, but it's too late to do anything about it now anyways. And as the safety car goes in this lap, we will get the racing back underway. And the rules are quite simple. Single file, restart as they come around. Fred Dude leading the GT3s in front of Swablu in the Sonic GTR. Canoni in the Fanta R8 is third in class. Then the two FT1s of Joe of the Fire and Y-Bear, somewhat disappointingly finding themselves a bit away down the order. Gentleman Racing and Skyjacker then. And here it is, the restart about to happen as Erebus breaks off. I'm glad to know you agree, Bambi. And here it is. We're back to racing. Slowest guy gets the two LMPs, the two surviving LMPs underway, and in behind, it's action in the GT3 field as Canoni is putting on the pressure to the rear end of Swablu, and all of the while, Joe of the Fire getting frisky on the outside, and they're gonna go too wide through turn 3. Difficult place to be for Joe of the Fire, who goes around the outside and makes it stick, and right up as well there. Oh, was that a little bit of carnage? We're gonna have another look there. Joe of the Fire with the run of the season, more or less here, from 6th place, or from 3rd in class. He made his way up through, well, both Canoni, and then got the run on Swablu. The witty professor showing guts as well in that particular situation, and up into 2nd place right away from the get-go. And Wake is up into the lead as well. And that slowest guy is sliding out through turn 5. Wake with the hybrid boost into turn 6, able to hold on, and he's up into the lead. And with that said, right back into the lead goes Slowest Guy. That's just a top speed pass. A lot of action already. Two guys, they're going to be racing each other for a long time. Let's hope they can match up to each other as well. Fred Dude has gotten well away, but Joe of the Fire is working on the gap already. Cannoni still third in class. Swablu fourth. Ybear in fifth position. And then in sixth position in the GTs, it's Skyjacker. Seventh is Gentleman Racing at the moment. And this time around, hopefully, we'll get to do a little bit more racing. That's for the sake of the race, that the safety car can stay in the pits from now on. Joe of the Fire really closing up to Fred Dude quickly here. Last lap posted by Fred Dude, a 56 dead. Joe of the Fire's last lap, 56.7 actually. So Fred Dude getting a good run there indeed. And everyone, can we have some F's in chat for CJ? A second clear of the closest LMP. Well clear on pace, it seemed, in qualifying. And then equipment malfunction like that. Hard luck indeed. Slowest Guy is trying to put Wake out of the slipstream, and it seems to be working. The Tomahawk seems to have a massive advantage in straight line pace. Seems to be difficult for Wake to really get close enough, although he could get in the slipstream actually here with a very good exit from the spaghetti bow, and now down towards the double right-hander. Might not all be over yet, we'll have to see. Fred Dude keeping a hold of the lead, and it's a steady 1.7 seconds down to the Witty Professor in second place. Then 3 seconds further down to Swablu, but they're very close with Cannoni Brothers at the moment. Cannoni Brothers really applying the heat. And Swablu really defending well in the GTR. Cannoni tries to get a run. And is it gonna work? That is indeed the question. We're on board with the Wang cam from Swablu, as that's Ybear all of a sudden appearing very close in the rear mirror of Cannoni Brothers. He might actually be able to have a lunge into turn one, and Cannoni with a big send, with a huge send. Swablu seemed to brake a little early. That might have compromised Cannoni Brothers. A very, very big scrap here. Let's have another look at what happened from the viewpoint of Cannoni Brothers. Oh, that's muscly indeed. He doesn't make up the position though, as he almost goes off to the left there, and then almost compromises his own position to Ybear, who he's held off at that point. Good battle here, as Slowest Guy is now put in the distance into the Porsche 919 of Wake. And from now on, it looks like it could be more a race of strategy and then dealing well with the traffic. As we say that, Joe of the Fire closed in a couple of tenths to Fred Dude. Fred Dude seems to be on a very good pace here. Cannoni having suffered some kind of issue, but certainly not enough to call out the safety car yet. He's alongside Ybear, and Ybear didn't pick up any damage. So we're not gonna see another SC by now. That was as muscly a move as we've seen musclier moves in our time, Ryan. We've seen musclier moves, but you have to give it to it. It was muscly indeed, and it was a late send as well. Cannoni now suffering under that damage, and he's not going to be as lucky as Wake, who were able to get the damage fixed without any net time loss. He was right back into the mix as he came back out from the pits. And that's, of course, also the big point of having the safety cars, to be able to keep some of the drivers within the action here. Up to Fred Dude, class leader in the GT3s. He's been hunted down by Joe of the Fire, the witty professor, in behind. We're on board with the FT1. Seems to get a good run through the S's here, and yet Fred Dude is gaining into him, but Joe of the Fire getting the better run out of him this time around. Seems to be status quo. Those two, though, really running away from Swablu at the moment, holding on to third place. Wybear in fourth, trying to catch up. He goes a little bit wide on the exit there from the spaghetti ball, the Indonesian driver. Oh, he goes very fast into the corner, too fast, overshoots it, goes wide, and loses out on some important time up to Swablu. He was closing the gap. He's lost out by over a second since then. Evening to you, Maverick. Nice to have you along. The slowest guy leading TSR Wake by 2.2 seconds now. Here's Wake trying his best to catch up and to keep up as well. Be a difficult one for him, I'm sure. Oh, slowest guy has had some kind of issue here. Slowest guy has had a big issue here, I'm sure. It's thrown away a lot of time. Oh, there it is, rides the curb. Keeps it clear of the wall, though. So important for the Volex driver. Let's put Wake right back into it. As the Belgian goes for the outside move through turn 3 and is making it stick into turn 4, I think. And the 919 with the hybrid boost up corner exit there is surely going to be stronger for that short situation at least. And Wake is now leading the race. Just as it looked to fizzing out a little bit between these two. The mistake from slowest guy keeps the racing alive. And Wake, the TSR team, now in front. Still steady between Fred Dude and Joe of the Fire. Fred Dude seeming to be on a very good pace for this race today in the BMW M6. Joe of the Fire finding it difficult, it seems, to just do something about it. Swablu still holding on to third, though Wybear is beginning to appear in the mirrors of the Calsonic GTR yet again. Let's see if Wake can hang on to this gift that is the lead of the race at this moment. It's also very much a question of tire wear, of course. How is it gonna look at the end of stints? Still pretty early in this one. Lap 11 of 37 to do. And the two LMPs now catching the bottom of the GT field. Rounding the cars of Gentleman Racing and Skyjacker. Slowest guy here picks up a 0.1 of a second penalty on his way through and lost net loss of time. A couple of tenths of a second through there as well. And this is where the Porsche might be able to gain a little bit. Wake in a good position all of a sudden. Although then they come onto here. Wake. Oh, he's getting caught up behind Canoni and has to go for a very risky move around the outside. And all of a sudden, that's allowed slowest guy to get on through as well. And that was a big twitch from slowest guy. Let's go on board with the TSR Wake. Just see what happened as he caught up to Canoni through the S's. Oh, terrible time to catch traffic. Really getting held up, going wide. And look at the speed carried by the Tomahawk there. As he squeezes by, there's nothing to do. Tries to put Wake out the slipstream as well. The battle is on though, the heat is on in the battle for the lead. Let's just see here. Oh, Joe of the Fire has lost some time. He's lost 1.5 seconds. Must have had some kind of incident on this lap. And as we're saying that, these two are catching up to Bear and Swaplu as well, battling for third in the GT class. Slowest guy getting through cleanly. Wake, I think, doing the same. And then in behind, there's a good battle there between, I think, Bear getting the move. Oh, see, there's a little bit of contact. A bit of a nudge there from Bear. So who's on the inside? And that is indeed the Calsonic GTR of Swaplu on the inside. And then that's a little bit of a nudge there. Mustly move from Bear as well to take out third place. And they are back to the grid running order, at least with the top 3 for the GTs. Good evening, Belen, and good evening to Rotary as well. Sad to hear about your disconnect, Rotary. That's bad luck. Belen, what a performance in the IGTL earlier today. Great race it was. Bear here defending from Swaplu. We're gonna have a look back up with the leaders. Look at this. Slowest guy here has really put some time into Wake. Front tires on the 919 might be beginning to suffer. They're both rounding the GT3 leader Freddu, who by the way is comfortably leading Joe of the Fire now by 2.5 seconds almost. Joe of the Fire seeming to suffer a little bit on his consistency. As the GTs are now on lap 12, the LMPs are now on lap 13 of 37. Just over a third into the race by now. Slowest guy leading by 2.8 seconds. No spoilers. No IGTL spoilers for those who hasn't seen the race yet. I know that Rabbit Gator has been looking forward to it, so it would be a shame if we were to reveal too much. Fred Dude has increased his advantage 2.5 seconds down to the Witty Professor now. The Belgian looking really strong in the Starscream Enterprises M6. And Ryan sure did good. Sure did good. Anything that's not getting completely obliterated is doing pretty well in the IGTL in my mind. At least. Here's Joe of the Fire. Then Bear with that 0.5 of a second penalty that he's carrying at the moment. And then just a couple of seconds down from Bear, it's Swaplu here. Slowest guy, pitting in, half a tank of fuel left. Considerable wear to the fronts as well. Looks quite alike wear-wise. Just going to be a little bit of fueling as well going in here, rejoining 63% of fuel in the tank of that car. Fred Dude with last lap 55 dead. Joe of the Fire, I think he's lost a little over that bit of 55.1, so he's lost a 10th. Indeed. Wake is now leading. And he doesn't need to do that many more laps to be able to aim for a one-stop strategy in this race. And that might just go and be a viable strategy for Wake in a possible way to do something about Slower Sky, although Slower Sky seems to have a little bit of a pace advantage in the Tomahawk. It's on the outlap now. There's Red Dude, keeping it steady. Further down the order, that's in 5th place in class. It's Canoni 6th, it's Gentleman Racing, and then Skyjagger, who's on an outlap now. At least for the time being, it seems clean running all across the field. Wake on a very strong purple sector 1 here. I mean, you can find this kind of pace all of a sudden. Might even be able to get the undercut to work. And if it's then at the same time one-stopping, CSR might be right back into it. Still gaining, still purple on this lap, but of course the rest of the course is really where the 919 seems to lag behind compared to the Tomahawk. It's much stronger on top speed. The hybrid 919 stronger on acceleration, of course. So Fred Dude is gaining on Joe of the Fire. Houdini, who called it to be an easy win for Joe of the Fire, certainly anything but right in his call. Fred Dude seems to be aiming for the one-stopper as well. Say Joe of the Fire doing the same. They have a 12 second gap down to Y-Bear, 3rd in the GTs. Swablu has lost some time as well to Y-Bear now over the final couple of laps. And then Canoni suffering a little bit with that damage, it seems. Falling slowly into the clutches of Gentleman Racing in the 911. Wake, he's lost quite a bit of time, and that's yet another sector 1 that's half a second better than Slow Sky's best. Seems there's really some strong dynamics at least going on between the cars here. Erebus is left. That's the safety car. Oh, and who's that off? That's Skyjagger. That's Skyjagger in the S's. And the exit of the S is just plowing off into the wall there. And somehow managing not to pick up damage through that situation. That's pretty well done indeed. Wake, though, I think is lost around 2.5 seconds to Slow Sky since that pit stop. But then again, if he's to do a pit stop less than Slow Sky in the end, he can afford to lose time now. It might still be very interesting towards the end of affairs here. Lap 17 out of 37. We are getting close to that half the race gone marker. Slow Sky now getting past on Skyjagger. Only had a pit stop before. That's of course let Gentleman through. Gentleman Racing. The gap between Fred Dude and Joe of the Fire, by the way, is growing as well. And it's now up to 3.5 seconds. So it's looking good for Fred Dude, looking good for the Belgian. And looking good for Starscream Enterprises to pick up their maiden NES win. If they can keep it all together here for the rest of the race. That's something that I hadn't really thought about, considering the pace, is how much better the Hybrid 919 might be on fuel, and how much time Wake in turn could be saving on that account alone. Because he's lost about 4 seconds, I reckon, since the pit stop of slowest guy. But of course, it's an entire other pit stop to have to reel in for slowest guys, and now their strategies are now that they're kind of screwed with the strategies, that's going to open up the excitement of the race as well. Volex on 2-stopper, TSR on a 1-stopper. F's out for Dredgen, for Erebus, our safety car driver. Let's hope they can all keep it on track until the line. Isn't really GT Sports' proudest day connection-wise today, to be honest. It's been sort of poor all the way through. Fred Dude is really gaining on Joe of the Fire. Look at those fronts. Those fronts are absolutely knackered. They've gone far over the cliff, I think, for Joe of the Fire, who's really losing out. Let's just have a look at Fred Dude's tires. Much fresher. I think Fred Dude is on a wheel as well, and he's able to work his tires with much more finesse, it seems, than Joe of the Fire. Seems to be dealing with some more plowing understeer as well in the Toyota. And he's now really dropping back. It's making him drop back, fall behind, and it sure is a problem. Swablu is on an island. He's losing time to Wybear. We're losing time to Gentleman Racing, or gaining on Gentleman Racing, I'm sorry, as well. And for the drivers further down the order, also very much having the race settled and finding themselves with more and more time, both in front and behind. Wake, it's now down to 8.5 seconds. He will be good to pit at the end of this lap if he wants to carry through the 1-stop. And look at that, the Porsche 919, it hardly has the fuel at any point, at any stage. And on fresh tires, he'll be on fresh rubber. Now that slowest guy won't. This one actually be able to be more interesting than I initially thought. Fred Dude is still gaining. It's looking good for a class win, as mentioned. Wybear seems to have gained a little bit on Joe of the Fire, actually, over the last bit of a lap here. That sounds like slowest guy is making his way up to Wybear as well. So we're on board with the Tomahawk, breaking into the pasta bowl. Oh, be careful. Oh, why that slowest guy just nudging into the dirt on the outside. That's gonna cost important bit of time. I didn't get the replay marker set. Just wanted to have another short look. A little bit of a risky move, but he's willing to risk it, it seems. Slowest guy doesn't want to get held up in traffic, wants to charge at TSR Wake. He's gained 8 seconds since that pit stop. And Wake has carried on, he's still running. I feel like he's wanting to stretch his tires, or just to have fresher tires for the second part of the race here. Wybear pitting in. Swablu pitting in as well. So pit stop round open. The pit window is open for the 1-stoppers in the GT class. Going to be a lot of fueling for Wybear. Considerably less for the GTR of Swablu. Found himself 12 seconds behind as they came into the pits though. This Gentleman Racing looking pretty consistent. Good on the tires. I think he's on a 2-stopper though. He's going to come out in front. Joe of the Fire still running alongside Fred Dude. Can't really understand that he hasn't chosen to pit in yet. The witty professor who's just leading time. It's now 6.1 seconds up to Fred Dude. And indeed, I think Wake will have to come in soon in order not to burn his entire advantage. It's gonna come down around, I think 10 seconds, 9 or 10 seconds down, depends on how much fueling it's gonna have to do. It's not really a long pit lane at all here at Maggiore. It's jumped quickly done. And well called, Rapid Gator, as we are seeing TSR Wake. He's entering the pits. He has a third of a tank full left. That's for under half of a race distance. He has more fuel in his tank than Slowest Guy, who's already been in and fueled. So Slowest Guy is really in a hurry here. He really needs to put in a solid few couple of laps here, as he is indeed running quicker than Wake. He needs to be running quicker than Wake as well. And isn't really a lot of time left for any kind of mistakes here, as Wake goes a little bit wide on the exit of turn 2. That might have cost him a little bit as well. None of the LMPs can afford any time lost. Joe of the Fire is in the pits. The Witty Professor in, the Witty Professor out. Keeps a hold of 4th place. Overall, of course, 2nd in class. That's gonna leave Fred Dude with an even bigger advantage. Still keeping it steady. Still keeping it very composed, very consistent. Look at that last lap time from Fred Dude. 2 Belgians are lapping each other, and Wake almost loses it here. Almost gets it all wrong. Let's have another look, as it's been an issue for him this entire race. He keeps getting up to traffic in the middle of the S's. And mind you that the GTs are really powerless. They don't have that kind of downforce, and the added weight as well means that it's a lot harder for them to change direction. And in turn, they easily just become sitting roadblocks. But the LMP drivers, they have to think about this and to try to time their overtakes, and it's sometimes really worth it just lifting off to wait with the actual encounter, because as you see here, Wake has really lost on this lap. So a bit of a problem for him, as Fred Dude now enters the pits. And I call that he's going to be well clear of Joe of the Fire. As he comes out, he's going to be keeping a hold of this race lead for sure. Slowest guy, 16.8 seconds. And out comes Fred Dude. Although a little bit of a smaller advantage that I was actually imagining it to be. Joe of the Fire seems to have maybe been fuel saving a little bit. He's at least, well, he's actually closed in about half the gap that he was behind. And the race is very much on again in the GT class. Y-Bear finding himself 16 seconds down on Joe of the Fire. Gentleman Racing up there in the 919 RSR, 4.5 seconds down on Y-Bear. Canoni 5.8 seconds down on Gentleman Racing. Seeming it's all kind of coming back together here, as Slowest Guy gets massively held up, I think, by Skyjacker. And we're gonna have another look at it. What I'm thinking is, was there contact in that situation? He went on a side where there just wasn't any space. Oh! Sketchy moment for Slowest Guy. And Wake now with the fastest lap of the race, 37.6. So it's crunch time for the TSR car. It's now that they're going to make the difference. It's now Wake is going to try to make the difference, to see if he can get within striking distance for when Slowest Guy exits the pits. Mind you, that while Slowest Guy does look to have another pit stop coming up for him, Wake is gonna need some kind of a cushion, because Slowest Guy is gonna be on fresher tires for that final bit of the race. It's gonna be an interesting one all the way to the line, I call it. Oh, Joe of the Fire, what's happened here as CJ's left the room? I just thought it was another Just wanted to see if we can catch the mistake made there by Joe of the Fire. He hasn't picked up any damage, but I'm sure he's had an off here. And the lap times are indicating just that, as he's 2.7 seconds down on his personal best. And he's now back to being 6 seconds down on Fred Dude. Fred Dude, who seems to have just that extra bit, just that extra level here tonight, is looking really good for the Belgian. Wake has gained a second on slowest guy here, so the scales are tipping as Canoni is pitting in. Canoni in for what I think is a final of 2 stops. Wybear in as well, and that's with a lot of fuel. That's with engine damage, heavy damage there for Wybear. Having to wonder, was that a solo? Was that a solo incident? We didn't see any typing, anything to call out what would now be a virtual safety car, since there is no safety car. So there won't be any calls for anything here, but Wybear, certainly not what he needed at all. He's now in quite close to the bottom of affairs. Skyjaggers in the pits. Is that just for the second stop? No, I think there might actually have been 2 cars involved, or there's been 2 cars off at the same lap. That could have been a possibility as well. I'm not entirely sure about that actually, but Pollock for both Wybear and Skyjagger on that lap indeed. And look, as the gap between slowest guy, TSR Wake, that gap is now melting away, and it's down to 13.9 seconds. Wake is gaining on slowest guy just as quickly as it was going the other way before. And it's getting to the point where I'm really having a hard time actually calling this one. Slowest guy on low fuel, worn tires. It's going to be about 10-12 laps on that final stint. Here in comes Gentleman Racing for his final stop. He's been losing a little bit of pace on that final lap. And that's gonna... It's really gonna do too much. I think Canoni even gonna make it through. Nope. And Gentleman Racing rejoins in 4th place, plucking away the 93 Porsche all the way through here. Been spectacular by any means, but it's been good enough to actually pick up 4th here. Swablu in front, also having done a pretty consistent race so far. Fred Dude further increasing the advantage down to Joe of the Fire. And then it seems it's sort of leveled out between slowest guy and Wake, now 13.5 seconds. So Wake on a mission, and I'm sure he's gonna get past as slowest guy pits in. He does now. There was no more waiting, and I do understand it's probably also the last lap of fuel that's in that Tomahawk. Gonna be interesting to see how much fueling they actually need to do. 12 laps, 13 laps, not 12 laps if they come out across the line yet. I think 12 laps of racing, indeed 12 laps left to do. Wake is now in the lead. How much of a lead will he inherit? Here's slowest guy is out the pits. That's a 9-second advantage, as it's now a race to the line between slowest guy and TSR Wake. And with 12 laps of racing, 9 seconds of advantage, that could become very, very interesting before the end of affairs here. Fred Dude is looking superb. He's now leading Joe of the Fire by 7 seconds. Joe of the Fire in turn here getting overtaken by Wake on his way in to the S's. Well timed there, or Joe maybe holding off a little bit. Wake doesn't have the time to get held up by anyone anymore. Basically just needs a clean run through traffic every damn single time if possible. A lot more than... I don't know where I got the... Like, oh, that's Show Off the Fire. Sometimes we're just talking about 12 laps left and you see a GT car with 14, 15 laps left and you're like... confusion for a second there. Wake safely, quickly through as well there on Fred Dude. Important stuff. See slowest guy. Slowest guy hits Crazy John. Slowest guy is not Crazy John. Ollie Polly. Oh, getting safely past on Joe Off the Fire there. CJ did indeed disconnect. And CJ is indeed also the Mad Greek. Slowest guy being Portuguese. And the Portuguese here hunting down Wakesy, who's actually lost a little bit of time over this last lap. And I'm not sure that's gonna work out in his favor in the end. CJ is Crazy John. Crazy John is Crazy John, and he is indeed crazy. He's mad today, I tell you, and I do understand. It was looking like a race where CJ could easily even nudge it down half a gear, take it safely through traffic, and just make sure to make it to the line. Slowest guy also makes it through safely on Fred Dude. However, does lose a little bit of time on entering the S's, and is now over 10 seconds for TSR Wake. And with 10 laps of racing left, this could go both ways. Tires are still looking pretty good for Wake. Ollie Polly. Yeah, confusion understood. Fred Dude has lost out on some time, and he's really bleeding time, it seems, down to Joe Off the Fire at the moment. He hasn't picked up any damage. So it just seems to have been a bad run, maybe bad exit from all the way down from the past the ball. That's bled time up to here. Seems he's back to his gaining ways. A little bit of a surprise that Joe Off the Fire hasn't been able to take the battle to Fred Dude more than he's done for this race. Indeed, Erebus, it would have been a fantastic race with CJ in this mix as well. Given that Wake is now in a very good position, if he can keep up his pace, if he can keep his tires alive. Of course, Wake with the decision to stretch that first stint, that might just be the call that'll save his pace all the way through the second pace. He's still gaining on Slowest Guy. Wake CU on a mission. TSR Wake. I'm still calling him Wake CU. Old habits die hard. TSR Wake is on an absolute charge, and he's looking for his maiden NES win. I think, if I'm not completely mistaken, he hasn't won a race yet, at least not in the LMP class. At least, well, Erebus, that actually we had seen a situation where we could perhaps have used for your services here. Gentleman Racing is pitting in yet again. Oh, yet again it isn't. Again, it's just that final pit stop. That those tires are absolutely hammered. He isn't going to need fueling. It's just going to be tires for his final stop here, I'm quite sure. Is he going to give the position though to Y-Bear? He is indeed. Y-Bear at the moment chasing Canoni, 11.3 seconds to them in the front. And now Wake. Oh, good times are over for TSR Wake. As he now comes up to lap both Gentleman Racing and Y-Bear at the same time. Y-Bear almost turning into him as well here. And that's cost him a lot of the advantage to Slowest Guy. Slowest Guy's last lap, 38.2. Wake's final lap there, 38.6. But I think this opening sector this time around has really cost Wake a lot of the advantage. Mind you, Slowest Guy is also going to be catching up to those two cars soon. And he could be just as unlucky as Wake in catching up, for example, through turns 1 through 4. That's possibly the worst part of the track to overtake at all. It really is the space. He's catching up already now. Slowest guy seeming to be quite lucky here. Sent it through on Gentleman Racing at least. Oh, Gentleman Racing I think has had some kind of... Oh, there's Wybear as well. Oh, that's certainly lucky. That's a big time gain for slowest guy on TSR Wake. 8 laps of racing remaining as they cross out to this one, and yet again Wake's getting held up, this time by Canoni. Just gonna have a look at how it looked for Wake. Oh, he's getting... We're gonna have a look even further back because that looked to be bad indeed. Held up big time through the double right-hander here with contact and damage. Damage for Wake. Damage for Wake here. And that might be it. That might be what throws it in the way of slowest guy. He's now closing up on Canoni. Just as you said it, Martin, it's now looking a little tough for Wake with front splitter damage. 8 more laps to do, 7.5 at this time. Slowest guy cleanly through there. Oh, and then slowest guy goes off to the outside. And that's contact with the wall. I'm sure he goes sideways, cross the track into the barrier. And that's gonna send it the direction of Wake. Now he just needs to keep it on track. Look at this turn 5. We've seen it before. Going wide there. And the Tomahawk just wouldn't respond. And slowest guy careers across the track into the wall, picking up, well, not engine damage, but any other conceivable kind of damage to the front of that car in the process. I think he should be able to run it without pitting, but it hardly matters here. 18 seconds now for Wake, so just as Wake was looking beaten for a second there, was really looking to swing the direction of Volex Esports, of slowest guy. Well, then, when bad luck strikes and Wake realizes that he can even pit in, the question is slowest guy gonna go for it as well? Martin had a very nice look in the crystal ball there. He had told us what was to come. Slowest guy decides to pit in as well. And all the while, Fred Dude keeps extending the advantage down to Joe of the Fire. It's now 7.5 seconds. And it's by no means huge, but it's certainly enough that he should be able to just keep it afloat and see it through to the end. It's been a very strong race from Fred Dude so far. And Bambi, indeed, I've also been surprised to see that we've seen so many unforced mistakes, out of the blue mistakes, so to say. But it's made for an interesting race. It's made for a colorful race. Even more exciting than I was thinking, given that we're a little low on drivers today. But best of huge kudos to both Wake and Slowest Guy for putting up a great show. 2-car show in the LMP class. There's been plenty of action in the GT class as well. Swablu still third in that one, as Wake is coming up to lap him. Canoni fourth, Wybear fifth, Gentleman Racing in 6th place, Skyjagger is 7th. Wake, 6 laps to go for the Belgian, leading the race here. And it's looking very good for the first Porsche 919 win in the NES since I won at Dragon Trail in Season 4. Good stuff indeed. Good stuff indeed here. Wake coming up to pass Skyjagger. Of course, throw us a like if you've liked our NES coverage here, and if you haven't already, well, do feel free to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to stay notified as well. And I think with that said, Slowest Guy has indeed thrown in the towel for tonight. A tough competition now, they just need to finish here is Fred Dude. That's a good reason to run in the LMP, sir, Rabbit Gator. Anyone running here would still running here. F's out CJ. But anyway, anyone still running here would be guaranteed a spot on the podium. Part in that so elusive post-race interview. Swablu 45 seconds down on Joe of the Fire. That's Slowest Guy picking up Swablu there, Canonian behind. Wybear still with a theoretical chance of catching up to Canonian in front. Wybear Seemings again, but is going to be fast enough? I seriously doubt it. There's not a lot of distance between Wybear and Gentleman Racing. Either way, Gentleman Racing has had a clean race, it seems. Doesn't seem like there's any damage, or has been any damage along the way here. So that 911 RSR has kept it clean all the way through. It seems TSR looking to pick up their maiden NES LMP win. Their maiden NES win in the first place as TSR, I think, running as TSR here in the NES. So as a team, first race, and 4 more laps to go. It's going to be the first win for Wake Sihu. He just needs to keep his composure now, sitting on that 17.5 second advantage. I don't really see that changing much. Fred Dude is still extending the advantage down to Joe of the Fire. It's been a masterclass in consistency from the Belgian here. It's been an entire class above the rest of the GT field, even the reigning LMP champion Joe of the Fire, who was second in the last season in the GTs, where CJ took the championship win, as he was indeed second at the end in the LMPs. His way catching up to Joe of the Fire. Nudging through safety there. Swablu, the podium in the first counting NES race. Certainly not bad at all. Seems well clear of Canoni there, 15 seconds in behind. Easily afford just to take it easy over the final couple of laps. Now 3 laps to go for Wake, as Joe of the Fire now forced into another pit stop. Might be going for the fastest lap of the GT field. Just about says how warm those tires were for Joe of the Fire. And no, Ryan, to be fair, the race finally has really settled down, even in the LMPs, the 2-car LMP race that's given us a lot to talk about. for this past hour's time. 2.5 laps left for Wake. Slowest guys grabbed the fastest lap though. Was that on the last one? I'm wondering. Nope. He's pressed towards the very low 37s there, trying to get into 36s. His slowest guy. But it's been interesting seeing that the fuel consumption difference that really favors the hybrid 919 opens up some strategical alleyways that we haven't seen before in the NES, in the LMP class. And that's sure it's going to be a gift for the rest of the season. It's going to be making it even more interesting to follow. It's been nice seeing Fred Dude in the GTs here, being so strong as well. So those that thought that there would be no challenge against Joe of the Fire, well, they have been proven quite wrong here. This Fred Dude has been dominant all the way through. And Wake now on the penultimate lap. 2.5 tenths clear. Could be trying to hammer in that purple lap as well, of course. Question is it really worth it? Wouldn't necessarily say so here. The S's and now down towards the spaghetti bowl. He's 2 tenths off as well here. As he enters the third sector. And indeed, Ryan, Joe usually wins by 30 seconds, no matter what we do, basically. So it's not because it's been ungrounded that people have been watching and viewing Joe of the Fire as the pre-race favorite. But that doesn't mean that you don't get proved wrong at times, and it certainly has been the case today with Fred Dude being very, very strong indeed. Here it is, the final lap now for TSR Wake. It's coming up on, is it Joe of the Fire or is it Wybear? It is indeed Wybear. We head with Canoni here with the Wang Cam. As Wake is closing in. Going to be a send into turn 5. Space at the inside. And there he is. So Wake is gonna bring it home in the LMPs for TSR for the maiden victory. Starting off Season 5 with a bang. Could have been different had it not been for the bad connection luck and the issues of CJ. The Mad Greek will be fuming that his chances were taken away from him today. He was absolutely flying through qualifying. But it matters little now as TSR Wakes taking up the win. Swablu having to do another round there. And let's see where Fred Dude is. He's making his way through the bowl. Canoni's crossed the line. Wybear's crossed the line as well in the GTs. Fourth and fifth, respectively. Gentleman Racing 6th, and Skyjacker's coming to come home for 7th as well. The slowest guy. He's picked up damage yet again. Sent another off. And low on fuel. Fred Dude is winning the GT split, and he's doing so right here with a very, very strong performance as well. Taking it well clear of the witty professor. Gonna come home for second place. And then Swablu in the Calsonic GTR coming home. Oh, that's slowest guy almost managing to take out Joe up the fire on the finishing line there. Just have a short extra look. That must have been quite the hair racing moment. Wake takes P1. Absolutely brilliant. Here is Swablu, final runner on track. He's gonna come home for that third place in the GT Pro class. Very strong race from Swablu. Kept it clean all the way through as well. So big congratulations to our podium finishes. Wake and slowest guy, not much about that anyways. And then of course, Fred Dude, Joe of the Fire, and Swablu in the GT3s as Swablu makes it across the line as well. I'll go right into the jumping bouncy heads, get the party going, and invite these guys. Swablu, Fred Dude, Joe, Wake, and slowest guy. So an interesting race in the end, and a very strong win. Well, in both categories, a little lucky I think for TSR. Just as Wake had that little bit of contact with Canoni, well at the same time, slowest guy goes and bins it in behind. That is a little bit lucky. We have Joe of the Fire here.
Hello. Yep.
Hello, Joe. And let's just start with the GT podium, starting with you in second place. I think a lot of our viewers were expecting you to be on top of the GT class at the end of the race, but didn't just really pan out that way. You seem to be struggling with the tire wear today.
I did a bit, yeah. It wasn't the best. I was slowly losing time to Fred over the stint, like maybe a couple of tenths per lap. But things went wrong from qualifying really, because I was up by about 2 tenths and then got held up in the last corner. So I ended up second.
Indeed.
And then started the race, I cold rear tyres and dropped 2 places. Like the tyre wear models changed things a bit.
Oh yeah, indeed. Yeah, that could have been the a good explanation or a good excuse for you to bin it there. But pretty strong comeback from not the best of starts and a solid result.
Yeah, and then at the end just went for the fastest lap because points.
Yeah, but that makes good sense. But nonetheless, Joe, the witty professor, finishing second today, can't be called bad. In the end, it's solid points for the championship. So congratulations on that. We're gonna go on to Swablu. Good evening, Swablu. Congratulations on your podium finish, your first podium finish in your first points race here in the NES. How does it feel? So it looked like it was really a hectic opening couple of laps, especially the opening 4 corners at the start there. Take us through what happened. Well, I could imagine it certainly looked that way, but you managed to gain a couple of positions, so not all bad though. And well, in the end, congratulations on a strong result. Fred Dude is not here with us yet, is he? Oh yes, you are, Fred. What a win! So as you'd say in the Flemish part of Belgium, which is wat een prestage. What race. Really strong indeed. Really strong indeed. What are your feelings here post-race? It was absolutely perfect to watch. That's good to hear. There wasn't too much to... I can't even find too many things to ask into because it was really under the radar. There was really no drama to watch, and it was great in the end. So congratulations on a very, very strong win on that one. We're gonna go to the LMP podium. Slowest guy. What is up? What a battle you and Wake had. It seemed for the opening first stint that it was going to be sort of a walkover for you Rolex guys in the Tomahawks, but then as the tire and fuel wear, especially fuel burn, came into place, it all sort of changed. How was your perception of those things on track out there today?
Thank you, man. It was a nice race.
Indeed, and what you can't have seen, what you couldn't possibly have seen, Slowest Guy, is that right around the time, like half a minute before you had your turn 5 off and losing it there and effectively losing the race, Wake actually had contact with Canoni and picked up damage to the front of his car. We are like, everybody was like, "Oh, Wake's gonna lose it" in chat, and then go and bin it 30 seconds after. It was quite intense right there. And mentioning Wake, we're gonna go on to our LMP winner for TSR Simracing on your first outing in the LMP here. A victory for you, Wake. Maybe a little unexpected, at least when you looked at the qualifying times today. How does it feel?
It was unexpected because all those Rolex guys in the Tomahawks are just way too quick for the Porsche. So I kind of got lucky, I think.
Well, lucky is one way to put it, but it also seemed like you had a good advantage on your fuel economy, and that might be some of the offsetting balance, so to say, between the Tomahawk, who was indeed faster on pace, but if it runs, if you can't, he didn't, it wasn't able to one-stop, and that really made it interesting.
I tried a one-stop because, the one-stop after the safety car period, so I tried to stretch the fuel load and managed to do like 20 laps, I think, yeah, 20 laps. And then afterwards, I just pitted and put on again super soft for 17 laps. I think it was alright. The gap was big enough, but then I had contact with Canoni brothers, and then I thought I was going to be caught up by Slowest Guy. But then at the same time he spun, I think, or he had an accident, I think. So it gave me basically a free pit stop. So,
That's true very much. But it was considering that it was basically a 2-horse race for an hour. You managed to make it really interesting to look at, really interesting to follow. So thanks for that, guys. A great show. And with that, thanks for all of our podium finishers for taking part in our post-race interview. I'm going to leave the party. I'm such a party killer. I'm a party pooper. I just always leave the party when it's the most fun, like that. And now we can't hear him anymore. And with that said, I'd like to thank all the drivers for taking part. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in tonight for the opening round of the 5th season of the Nukeshot Endurance Series. My name is DirtenDK, and you've of course been watching Have the Race Gone. It's been my utmost of pleasures having you along for the broadcast. With that said, well, I think all that is left for me to do is to say thanks for tonight, and until next time, take care, have fun, and bye bye.